just a quick recollection. My recollection of 9/11 was kind of non-standard, I guess. I had been in Australia for 2 or 3 weeks prior to 9/11, and I'd been out in the outback of Australia. In fact, I just put up a picture from that trip. By total coincidence, I was in the Lockhart River Valley up in North Queensland, in a very, very remote and poor area in the bush, with one of the few remaining Aboriginal. They call the white people there call them kings. His title was King Tommy George, and a picture of me and Jeff Guest and King Tommy George sitting in a dry riverbed, and in Queensland. And I had gotten some kind of awful bug, probably from drinking water out of the Lockhart River. And so I was back in Sydney, and I was scheduled to fly home on 9/11, 2001. And I would have gotten home at midnight on 9/11. But I had two days in Sydney before I flew home, and I was going to just visit some friends there. But I was so sick I couldn't leave my hotel room. I mean, twice I went out and I went to the local clinic, and it's amazing. I mean, healthcare is free in Australia. You just walk in and get what you want. And they gave me, they started out with one antibiotic, and then they ended up with Flagyl, another antibiotic, and nothing seemed to be knocking this thing out. And I was just really, really sick, and kind of tied to the bathroom. So I called United and I explained the situation to them, and I asked if I could leave the day earlier, and they moved my flight up to the 10th. And so I flew from Sydney to Los Angeles, and Los Angeles to Chicago, and Chicago to Burlington, Vermont, and drove home from Burlington to Montpelier, Vermont, and got home around midnight the night of the 10th, the morning of the 11th. And the next day, when I woke up, at the time, Louise and I did not have a television. I don't believe. We spent at least 18 years without a television. And I think that was during that time, because I don't remember the TV part of it. I remember listening to the radio. But, I was knocked out from jet lag and everything else, and woke up hours into 9/11. And that's and my recollection of it was thinking, much like the Great Depression hit the United States and hit Germany, and we had FDR and they had Hitler, that this was the kind of event. In fact, I remember having a conversation with Louise about it at the time, that this kind of major flip, this turning point kind of event, this Pearl Harbor kind of event, this was the kind of event, or this Great Depression kind of event, the massive stock market crash. This was the kind of event that could either bring out the very best in America or could bring out the very worst. And it was all going to depend on how it got played out. And I remember the news reports on the 12th. And I remember seeing this, and I don't know if I saw it online or if maybe we had a TV at the time, but this is actually the only visual memory I have of that time. And that was watching the candlelight vigil in downtown Tehran, Iran, and the reporting on how Muslims all around the world were standing in solidarity with the United States. Now, this was, George Bush had gotten, first of all, he'd refused to go back to Washington, D.C. for a month and a half. I mean, I think they told him something was coming, right? He had finally made it back to D.C., but he hadn't yet gone down to New York and started his, chest pounding, we're going to find the guys who knocked these buildings down stuff. That came a few days later. And I just remember thinking, wow, the Muslim world is with us. This is the moment. If we can, if it is true, the early reports that we were hearing that Muslim extremists were behind this, just like Christian extremists were behind, a Christian extremist, a fellow, he had some friends, was behind bombing the the World's Fair in Atlanta in the 90s when Louise and I lived down in Atlanta. And you know, it's like, I remember thinking, if George Bush plays this right, we could get the entire Muslim world to help us find these extremists. And this could be the thing that will actually modernize Islam more than anything else. If he plays this right, if he reaches out to those people like in downtown Tehran, Iran, who were holding candles, because there were Muslims who died in 9/11 too. And I am so sad that George Bush took the other path.